point. I'll tell you, we are in like a wormhole, I think, to the future right now, because amazing stuff is happening. I don't know, did you see the town hall forum? Yeah. And I don't know, did you see that we were trending #1 on Twitter last night? And we did a short live stream on CNN before the program, and that was taking off and going viral like nothing they had ever done before. So, you know, this is just to say, hold on to your hats, because the fun is just beginning. Ever since the DNC, was anybody at the Democratic National Convention? All right. So, a big thank you, by the way, to everybody who's, I don't want to say come over from the Bernie campaign, but continued from the Bernie campaign. Then it's possible to be inside of a counter-revolutionary party that wasn't going to let this revolution go forward. So thank you for laying the groundwork. And ever since the DNC, suddenly the media has heard this drumbeat of Jill not Hill, and we have just been swamped with one mainstream media thing after another. So it's been non-stop Fox and CNN and MSNBC as they really start tuning in. And we got more to come. I think we're doing, what is his name? George Stephanopoulos this weekend. And even PBS NewsHour we're doing, I think, on Monday.
Wow.
So it's like, watch what you wish for. Because it's like the floodgates have kind of opened to a very different future. Yes, and amen to that. Yeah. Hillary Clinton is certainly doing her part to help us along. You might have heard about Ken Salazar. Did anybody hear about this? So Ken Salazar, who's kind of like the, the Darth Vader of Democratic Party politics, the guy who's like the partner in one of the biggest lobbying firms. Where are they located? I don't even know where he's from Colorado, where he's been fighting against the movement to stop fracking, because the brave communities have been standing up to say no to fracking, like New York State has said no to fracking. So Ken Salazar has been part of the movement to stop the resistance, and appointing him sort of like lifts the veil, and the real Hillary Clinton has stood up. Yeah. That is, the Hillary Clinton who actually supports fracking, who supports the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and who supports the KXL pipeline. These are all positions of Ken Salazar, and he is in the position of appointing the White House administration. He's in charge of the transition team. So for any of your friends out there who haven't sort of seen the light yet, the green light, this is a good time to just take stock of where the real Hillary Clinton is going to go, which underscores that, this is our moment. This is the time for us to stand up and lead the way forward, because it depends on us to say no to student debt and bail out a generation of young people who are 20 million green jobs that will put an end to our economic crisis and to our climate crisis at the same time. A Green New Deal. It's time to say yes to an improved Medicare for all, so everyone is covered, head to toe, cradle to grave, your reproductive health care, your mental health care, your pharmaceuticals, your hearing aids if you need one. We need to be totally covered, and we can do it for exactly the same cost just by cutting out the healthcare profiteers. What an obvious thing to do. It's time for a welcoming path to citizenship for the immigrants who have always been at the heart and soul of our culture and our economy. And we say to Donald Trump, we don't need no friggin' wall, we just need to stop invading other countries.
Yeah.
It's time to say yes to a system of K through 12 schools, that we actually fund quality schools, public schools. We say no to the privatization. We say no to the charters. We say no to the high-stakes testing, which is part of that school of privilege pipeline. Because if we really want to teach our kids, it's pretty simple. There are about two things to do. Well, let's say three. So one is, it's time to end poverty so that kids come to school ready to learn. Poverty is the biggest obstacle to education. It's time to actually teach to the whole student for lifetime learning, not to a high-stakes test. And it's time, how about we bring back some art and music and recreation and give kids a reason to actually come and get plugged in. It's not rocket science how to teach our kids, and it has nothing to do with sitting them down and trying to teach them through rote memorization. What did it take to dream up this crazy idea of school and education reform? It took a computer geek in the form of, what's his name, Bill Gates? No one who knows anything about actually teaching kids would think that boring memorization and pen and paper tests are a way to teach. No, you need a really interesting curriculum. So we should do what they do for their kids. They don't send their kids to schools with high-stakes testing. They send their kids to schools with small class size, so teachers can actually get to know their kids and support them and help them. It's not rocket science how to do it. And one other thing I should mention, and that is that we need to end police violence. How about it? And we need citizen review boards, but not just any board. We need boards that have the right to subpoena, that have the right to hire and fire, and that have the right to initiate investigations.
That's right.
So communities are holding their police accountable instead of the police being in charge of the communities. So we can do this. And the last thing to mention is that we can have a foreign policy based on international law and human rights, not on economic and military domination, which has caused this catastrophic regime change policies that are massively failing, causing failed states, mass refugee migrations, and worse terrorist threats. So we say an end to that. We say an end to funding armies like the Israeli army to the tune of $8 million a day while they are violating human rights and international law.
Yes.
It's not about singling out Israel because we will apply the same policy to Saudi Arabia. No more of these weapon sales that are, that are allowing the slaughter of the Yemenis right now in this outrageous war, which again is a violation of human rights. So we can have an America and a world that works for all of us, a world that puts people, planet, and peace over profit, and we can create that world, and we actually, it's like mind-boggling. Who would have thought in this election that there would be the kind of opening that the universe in all of its wisdom seems to be creating for us right now with the two Democratic and Republican candidates having the highest levels ever of disapproval, dislike, and distrust, and more people than ever saying they really want a different kind of politics, a politics of by and for the people, a politics of integrity. And the truth is, there's only one campaign on the ballot that is not bought and paid for by lobbyists, corporations, and super PACs, and that's us. There's a conversation that's beginning now about opening up the debates.
Yes.
Yeah. And we're hearing it from all kinds of places. Where was the last editorial I saw? It might have been like in the LA Times or something like that. Slate has said as much. I mean, all these unlikely places are starting to float this idea that in an election where people just aren't buying it and where they're clamoring for more voices and more choices, how can we say no to the democratic process here? So we're standing up to the Commission on Presidential Debates, which the League of Women Voters said is a fraud being perpetrated on the American voter, because they are none other than the Democratic and Republican parties who are controlling the debate in order to silence political opposition. We say that's tyranny, but we need democracy, and that means opening up. So I just say, stay tuned. We had our first, forum last night, but we are getting bombarded. I can't tell you how many invitations we have now to do corporate media. And you gotta say, why in the world are they doing this? Because it's not like they agree with us. Maybe it's because we're the only candidate that will talk to them. Because Hillary Clinton doesn't talk to the press. She's done like one press conference in the last 6 or 8 months, something like that, and then another 6 or 8 months before that. So I think this is a novelty to have a candidate that's actually willing to go on TV and say what it is that we're about and say what it is that the American people need. So anyhow, what's the name of this group? Are they called Fusion? It's a big millennial site. Anyhow, they have just decided to hold a town hall forum. And we've started to float the idea now with MSNBC and with Fox and with ABC that don't you want a town hall forum too? I mean, did you see how that thing went viral? You need a town hall forum for free voting. So, when I go onto these programs, they challenge us, but they're also really bewildered and kind of perplexed. In fact, you may have heard Walmart just raised their minimum wage in Walmart to $10 an hour. So I was on this Fox Business show about 2 hours ago, and they were just marveling that the stock price actually went up. It didn't go down because Walmart is more productive and they have less staff turnover and their workers are actually happier and doing a better job. What an amazing thing that Fox Business News is actually learning. And in fact, this is what our agenda is about. And so we're doing our best to educate Fox Business News. But in fact, we can have public higher education. It pays for itself, for goodness sake. $7 returned for every dollar we invest. So that's a good investment, right? That's what Fox Business News is talking about. So I just gotta say, there's all these absolutely remarkable conversations that are happening. And I think a lot of people had their minds blown last night listening to Ajama Barako talk about everything, really. And human rights and racial justice and, the right of oppressed people. Or I should say, not only the right, but actually the perspective to talk without shame or without embarrassment about the perspective of what it is to be an oppressed culture. And people turn to me and they say, well, what do you think about that? Because I'm not a person from an oppressed culture, obviously. And I say, this is the dialogue that America is begging to happen. This is the dialogue we cannot go forward without. That America is in a crisis for lack of this dialogue. So anyhow, I just want to give you a big thank you for being here on this rather hot night. Well, thanks to all of us. We are on the same team, and together we are unstoppable. We are going to make this happen. Thank you so much for being our supporters.